Really?
in life. These burner numbers are really bad. They're really bad.
Well, I get it in this way. Like, people know that I know you.
Yeah.
People know that I know other famous people, and I have their numbers in my phone, and they will come out and ask me, "Hey, can you get me Kim D's phone? Can I call Kim D? Can you get her here? Can you do this here?" I tell them all the time. I said, I don't do that.
Right.
I don't do it.
Can't.
I mean, if it's a business opportunity,
Different story. We've done this before.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation.
I would come to you and say, "Hey,
First.
Kim, I got this business opportunity. Here's your information. You choose what to do with it. My hands are off of it.
Right.
I don't want to be although I kind of get caught up in the response.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I'd like you involved because you know the person and you've already dealt with them, so I'd want you involved. But yeah, this is the first time in my life that anything like this ever happened.
Really? Like with Mike's phone, I actually write his number on the bathroom
There you
wall.
go. Absolutely.
Just
Mike.
go in any bathroom, you'll find it.
I can't.
For a good time.
For a bad time.
Is that the Mike, the one I saw just recently? Yeah, that Mike. For a good time.
There
you go.
And you didn't call me.
For a good time.
For a good time.
For a good time. That's
Well, that's so funny.
That's actually false advertisement. So
I love it.
But you know,
yeah,
I mean,
so there we go. That's one part of being on the show. That look what happened to me.
just getting into like those opportunities. When you were in Roseland, did The Sopranos ever film there?
Yeah, a couple times.
How many times when you're working that detail do you see these guys come in there? They're
the chest open.
Yeah, I call the Guido tuxedo.
Yep.
The Sergio Tacchini.
I can't.
The Sergio Tacchini, like running suits. Hey, what's going on here? It happens all the time.
Yeah, so I imagine there's hangarounds when you film too.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you call up a place. There's some waiter in the back. Hey, Real Housewives.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Or you call up and make a reservation. Now all of a sudden this guy's going to say,
that's happened to me many times.
Hey, Kim D's coming in tonight.
Yeah.
Kim D's coming in tonight, and then all of a sudden the place is mobbed.
Yeah, shoot, that's happened to me. And they, and I realize that. I see it, because I'm walking in, they're asking for pictures or whatever. And that's not a problem. I don't mind it, but when we used to film, oh my God. I mean, but most people that own the restaurant, they call their family, they're intimate friends, they're good, customers. So we didn't mind, and we want the place to, to be filled up. So it was all good. Those kind of things don't bother me. But like I said, it didn't come to my mind.
You just don't want to look over your shoulder.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So this didn't come to my mind until just now when whatever you said triggered me into saying, yeah, I mean, it could be an issue. Definitely could be an issue.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's got to be tough. One day you're Kim D. Mm-hmm. Now you're on the show. Now you're Kim D from the Real Housewives.
Yep.
Total life changing overnight.
Overnight.
That's got to be rough.
In the beginning, it wasn't pleasant because there was a few things that went down that when they had said, and the girls do interviews, and one of them had said something about me. Of course, that wasn't true. She was, provoked it. And people would come to my store, open up the door. You're this, you're that, you're this. I'm like, what? Yeah. Open up the door and say crazy things and slam the door. And I'm like, wait, what? So anybody else would have they would have been crushed. The girl that worked for me, one of them is very sensitive. And she'd be like on the internet, go, oh my God, I can't believe the things that they're saying. I go, listen to me. It doesn't matter what they're saying. Let them keep saying it.
As long as they're showing interest.
That's right. But she would be
Keep watching.
I don't know. I just don't. It's a very foreign world to me because, again, somebody comes into my store and does that, I throw something at them.
Well, they didn't do it too often because I didn't throw something at them, but they were told right back what they were. And then word got out, like, stay away from the store. Well,
so, I know when Teresa got out of prison, there's a landscape supply right down the street from where she lives. And I didn't know where she lived.
Okay.
I was taking a shortcut. I had picked up something and I'm going back to my house and I go, there's news vans everywhere. I mean, and it's a small street. You've been to her house, right?
Of course, many times.
Kim, he was a Teresa stalker.
Yes.
He was. I was a stalker.
She got out of jail. Look, I'm going past her house.
With a load of mulch behind me.
There you go.
Yeah, I was going to remulch her beds for her. That's how much I loved her.
You did all the landscaping while she was away. I know you did.
Exactly. So I'm driving down the road, and it's a small road anyway. And
I
can hardly get through there. And I'm looking at the news vans, and then out of the corner of my eye, I see her get out of the car because she had just gotten out. I see her get out of the car, and I'm like, wow, this really sucks. Yeah. This really sucks because you got out of prison, which is not a proud moment.
It's not.
But it was probably really good for ratings. So.
It was great. I mean, it was great for ratings, and they put off the show until she got out of prison. They did not film.
Did you talk to her? Were you friendly with her when
I
she
was
got out?
friendly with her. Yes, I went to her house when she got out of prison. I brought her clothes from my store. We were friendly for a while. And then I was hearing different things through the grapevine that I didn't like. And I kind of like pulled away because I did a lot. I told her how to do her commissary money before she went in. I knew how, how you can set that up and everything. I helped the girl. I was a good friend. I wasn't there because of the show. I was a friend to Teresa. I didn't need her for the show. I didn't need her for money or to be famous or whatever. I was a good friend to her. But Teresa she's a bit of a narcissist and she doesn't know how to be a true friend.
Well, is that something that comes out over time? That narcissism. Once you're in front of the camera, you start believing your own press a little bit.
She definitely believes it. She stood up the other night at the reunion and said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all?" Teresa Giudice. And she did the spin and we were like, what did she just do?
Wow.
That's really pushing it. That's really pushing it. Saying that her fiance's exes are coming out on his narcissism only because he's with the Teresa Giudice, which is not true.
Well, that's why I have my Instagram at Real Kevin Donaldson.
There you go.
So nobody mistakes
There
me for
you
any
go.
of the other
There you
fake
go.
Kevin Donaldson.
Yeah.
See,
There you go.
that's what I was going to do. When Kevin told me to change my Instagram, I wanted to change it to the fake Kevin Donaldson.
There you go.
So I could get, all
There you go. There you go.
ride
But
his coattails for a while.
It does get to some of their heads, but I think deep down, Teresa's always had this issue. But you got to remember, she had like one loss after another within family. Then she goes to jail. Then he goes to jail, and then she finds out the truth about his situation, what he was doing while she was in jail and before then. So I personally think, even though she's with this man that she says, I think she's a hardened person.
Well, where's the redemption in it? Do you think that Teresa, you've been a rare one, okay, where you've been able to stay grounded throughout this whole experience, where somebody, say like Teresa, and I don't know her, and I'm speculating, of course, has believed her own press. Do you think there's one day where somebody like her, because I know there's plenty of them out there on the other shows, they're going to wake up one day and say, you know what, this isn't real. This is not what I think it is.
No, not Teresa.
Yeah.
Many people will, but not Teresa has gotten worse. You would think that she would have been humbled. She lost, her father-in-law died on her property. Then her mother passes away at a very young age, okay, right after she gets out of prison. Then she loses her father. She goes to jail, her husband goes, and then the father of her children gets deported. Like, be a little humble? You got to be kidding me.
But do you think that's really become her identity now? She's not, like I said.
She's not Teresa Giudice. She's the Teresa.
She thinks she is.
You were Kim D one day, and then you were Kim D from the Real Housewives the next
but I'm
day.
exactly the same person.
And you could go back to being the old Kim D.
Yeah, I am. I was.
I don't think that Teresa's
Never.
capable of that.
No. She really believes when she stood up and said that, she truly believes it.
Well,
she really does.
When you do get back on the show, because they talk about you so much, I know you're going to get back on the show.
Everyone keeps saying that. It's
If
funny.
you ever need some grounding,
you
give me a call. I'll ground you.
I absolutely will. But that's never going to happen. Listen,
I know.
The person that I was with, our lifestyle was beyond what you can possibly imagine. It really bigger than movie stars. He had more money and whatever. That wasn't the draw, okay? But we did things that people can only dream of. And I stayed exactly the same. But what I did do was bring my friends along and brought my mother along and brought them on the jets and brought them on the helicopters and brought them to the casinos and them on vacations. Really? And we would go out for dinner. He'd make me sign all the bills. We'd go out for dinner and I'd invite like 20 people, 12. And he
made you go Dutch?
Well, no, I signed his credit card, not mine. But they wouldn't get far in mine. But I never forgot, who I was. Like, I'm the same person, and I don't understand. I just don't understand, how people can be like that. It's not. Listen, we can't understand what we are not. I've never hated anyone. I've never been jealous of anyone, so I don't understand hate and jealousy because I never felt that.
You haven't known me long enough.
There you go.
I'm with you on that. I believe hate is a very, very, very strong word.
Strong.
I've literally only hated two people in my life.
Oh.
Two people, and
Okay.
I can name them off the top of my head. I won't name them here because I don't want to get sued.
Okay.
But
Plus, I'm sitting right here.
no, that's what I do.
I
the
would have been
Phantom
so
Wall for.
Unhappy if he said your name, Mike.
Listen, he said it before.
I
Oh
love
yeah,
it. I
he's-
love it.
When he's breaking my chops or trying to make me laugh, I've said it. So your book coming out. Let's
Yes.
get into your book. Let's get
Okay.
into the things that you're doing now. This is what you did.
Right.
And I still think you're not done with it because they mention you far too much. But let's talk about the new things you got going on. I know you do your fashion shows.
Okay, 3 times a year, which the next one's October, and I want both of you to be there. It's not a women's fashion show. It's men and women.
I'm not modeling anything.
No,
unless you got underwear. I'll walk out my underwear.
I might have you like help the girls, walk down the catwalk. No, it's a lot of fun. I'm going to have it at Pt.3 in October. So that's one of the things I'm plugging is October, Pt.3, Posh Fashion Show.
All
Okay?
right. Yeah. So I want to put all these on our show notes
Absolutely.
when we air this
October. Okay, I'll give you the date. It's either I think it's the 12th. It's Wednesday the 12th. But I'll
Okay.
gonna
Yeah,
quote them on that.
we'll get that from you.
I have my website. Okay, that I work on my website, Posh by Kim D. That's where they can buy my clothes, and I still sell clothes.
That's
My
POSCHE.
by Kim D. I do the recap podcast with David Yontef on Saturdays on Patreon. We're going to also do the recap for Beverly Hills, which is, I have to watch that tonight when we're done here. Thank you for making that a little bit earlier. I am writing, I have a publishing deal to write my book, My Life with the Big Boys, which is getting there. I fired my first ghostwriter.
Well, I've seen some of your life from the past, and it's amazing. You got to see some of the pictures that Kim's got from the Copa. I mean,
Jimmy Durante.
My father used to be a bouncer at the Copa back in the day. Yeah,
So cool.
he was. He did security for Stevie Wonder, Jimmy
Wow.
Durante,
Okay.
Tiny Tim.
wasn't
Wow.
that movie Green Book? Tony
I
Lip.
love that.
Tony Lip was a
Lip.
bouncer
Yeah,
at
sure.
the.
He was the maitre d'. He
was the
became the maitre d' afterwards. He was a bouncer at first, but they made him a maitre d'.
Tony Manafo also.
So if you
Yeah.
don't know who Tony Lip is, I'll put it into terms. He was one of the gangsters, and I can't remember his name on The Sopranos.
Yes.
That was Tony Lip.
That's right. That's
and
right.
that movie wasn't to come out until his death.
Yeah, what a great story.
Oh, I love that story. That was
loved
really
that
good.
movie. It was a great story.
The only-
and they have a restaurant, in Franklin Lakes. Tony Lip's son.
That's
Called
the
Tony
one.
Lips
Yep.
in Franklin
Yep.
Lakes.
My father,
Oh, really?
my
I didn't
father
know
knows
that.
Tony Lip or knew Tony Lip,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he always says, "Oh, his kid's got a restaurant.
Yeah,
Let's
I
go."
heard it's very, very good.
Yeah.
I heard it's good. I got to get in there one of these days. He made it through COVID, which is when they, because it's very small. Bring your own. But yeah. So the book is going to be my next big thing. I've written a lot of it already. I fired my first ghostwriter, and so someone else picked it up. So she's a little backed up. But I'm thinking the next time the Housewives drops, RHONJ, my book should be out with it.
We should get at least a chapter out of that book.
Oh, and here, and my wonderful time on the Suffering podcast. It really changed my life and
Yes.
made me a better
Yes.
person.
Yeah,
It
my life with the big boys to my life with the small boys.
And
Yeah,
even-
I love it. I love it.
and I even got one new Instagram follower out of it.
No, I'll get more than that. But I don't know about like when even the first question, what you did. I think when you don't think about like what Mike said, that when the small things that would matter, I don't think about that. Like I just do things from my heart. I'm not out there doing a ton of charities and all that because to be honest with you, I don't like crowds. And that's another reason why I peace out earlier because I get a little anxious when there's crowds or whatever. So it's one of the I'll give to animal rescue. I will rescue animals. That's really my thing, and I do want to own one someday. That's my
Animal rescue.
I would love to.
That's
Well, she rescued
I-
7 dogs already.
That's what I'm saying. More than that. More
the
than
problem
that.
I have with that is I wouldn't want to give any of them away.
Well, that's the problem with fostering and having them.
Yeah.
But you have to look past that because there's so many of them that really need. I mean, when you see what goes on in these places and how many get euthanized, it breaks your heart.
Yeah, I don't.
Breaks your heart. You can't watch it. It's
I
hard to
couldn't do
watch.
that because we got a good friend of ours, Charlie Cifarelli, who takes in pit bulls. He was the owner of Star, the New York pit bull that was
Okay.
shot in 2013. So him and his girlfriend Jen.
That's so nice.
They take in pit bulls and they foster them and then they
I
adopt
can't
them out.
foster.
Yeah, that's
can't
very
foster.
tough. You fall in
Because you
love.
can't give them up.
Can't give them up. I cried like a baby. I fostered 2 dogs that came from a family who lost their home.
Really.
They lost their home and they couldn't keep the dogs. They had kids, they lost their home. So now I take the dogs, but I already had 6 at the time and there was 2 more and it was just, my life was crazy at that time. And I just said, I can't keep these 2, but I want to keep them together. And I wind up finding a wonderful, wonderful home for them. I cried for 2 weeks. I just can't do it.
Did you go visit the dogs after it too?
I was freaked out. Where I don't cry that much over people.
Right. No, neither do I.
You know what I mean? You can't get me to cry over a person.
I tell this story all the time. I lost my first baby girl, Leia, my first yellow lab, 2019. Cried like a baby.
That's
November of
right.
2019, she passes. I lose my father in January of 2020. I don't shed a tear.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's really scary.
I don't shed
I
a tear.
know. I know. I listen. I don't even want to go there with that because I'm kind of in that same realm of how I am when people pass and people that were close to me. But I watch a movie, and I say to people first. I said, if anything happens to an animal, I don't want to watch this movie. I can't watch it.
I refuse to watch a movie, especially, you got to watch Dog's Life. I'm not watching it.
No chance.
I'm not watching
Because then they keep dying, and then
Yeah, no.
it's not going to happen. I got to go over and over.
How
with
about
this?
when we were kids? Old Yeller.
Oh, that was. And
Forget.
they made you watch that in school.
Listen, thank God I didn't have to watch. I was in St. Leo's. They didn't make me watch that.
The kid has to go shoot the dog.
No, listen, no.
I always say one of the
What a
worst
son
things.
of a bitch parent that is. To make a kid go shoot the dog.
Exactly.
One of the worst things that ever happened to me in my law enforcement career, I was walking down the street and there was a little girl walking a dog that was way too big for her. Dog broke away from her. Dog ran the street and got run over by a tractor trailer. Devastated me.
Listen, and you can't. And how about that little girl that was
Exactly.
walking the dog?
That's what the dog bothered me, but that little girl just standing there, look on her face. I'm like,
of course. I mean, forget it. I mean, I just can't. I won't even let my dogs out the front door. Okay, I have like live in a townhome and I have the chicken wire. Because they're little dogs to cover. Because in townhouse you're not really supposed to do all that. But anyway, did it. I'm out there like a crazy person, making sure that I would freak out if one jumped over the fence one time and I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
If I knew nothing else about you, and seriously, if I knew nothing else about you, your love for animals would make me like you.
Yeah, thank you.
Without a doubt, because I've said this for years, I like animals way more than I like people.
Oh, hands down.
An animal's never going to turn and stab you in the back.
Nope.
An animal is always going to be loyal
And
to you.
there's no jealousy and there's no hate.
That's right.
the problem is we can't get an animal on the podcast though.
I was going to bring Posh. I was going to bring my Posh. Yeah, I was going to bring her.
Next time.
I was going to bring
Episode
her.
2.
Yes, I will. I will.
So, Kim, we're coming to the end of this thing
Okay.
here, and I ask all my guests the same question. You've lived this very full life, and we only got into a small portion of it. You become a real housewife. You have a successful clothing business. You run fashion shows. You're a lover of animals. Mm-hmm. What do you think we've gone through some really stuff that I wouldn't want to do. I'm telling you right now, the suffering that you've gone through, I wouldn't want to do.
Right.
What do you think it's taught you?
Well, besides being stronger, which is amazing, I think humility and I think compassion for people, because I was not the most compassionate person. I was empathetic, but I would be like, oh, snap out of it. You know what I mean? So I think it taught me to be more logical about things because I used to fly by the seat of my pants. Okay. Now I have to, now I think
Digest
more.
it and think it.
I adjust it and think more. I think that's what it is. I think it taught me a little humility. It taught me a little bit compassion, to understand that just because I'm a certain way doesn't mean everyone else has to be that way.
You're a self-proclaimed different person.
Yes, I am. And I was never a housewife. I was a friend of the housewives. Because believe me, your listeners will definitely tell you she was never a housewife.
You're my favorite one.
I did notice there's guests, there's friends.
Yes, I was a friend.
and-
I was a paid friend. Yeah, but I guess
So
that's
say.
what taught. Yeah, there you go. He's a paid friend. So, but that's what it
And
taught
that didn't
me.
take long.
And and now recently, what happened with these two women? Unfortunately, it taught me a little bit of that I have to be weary, not fear. There's no fear, but a little weary. Like when I'm dropped off at my house, I'm like, can you watch me go in? And I never had that kind of feeling before, But because of the show,
Yeah.
and because of who I am, now I have to be a little bit more careful, which I never thought that way.
You got to get eyes in the back of your head.
Yeah.
Kim, thank you so much for joining us.
You're
It's been a
very
lot of
welcome.
fun.
Thank
You're quickly becoming one of my favorite people.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank
And
you.
you're welcome back anytime when
When your book
comes out. You want to come back, you want to promote the book, but we will always keep a special place here
Thank
for
you.
that book.
Or maybe before one of her shows.
Oh, you're
Come in and promote a show.
Yeah, I would love to come in and promote the October show.
absolutely 100%.
Yes, let's
you're
do that.
always welcome here.
And then I'll know more about the book.
Well,
I'll
my-
be able to give you a little synopsis.
Mike and I always say this when we bring people in here, we get to know them, we become vested in their stories, and they really do become family. And we
That's
do,
nice.
out of 77 guests that we had on here, I probably keep in touch with 70 of them.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Very nice.
We always say, like it or not, you become part of our dented family now.
That's
so.
really nice. And I definitely want to go to the Grand Saloon, so I want you to tell me when that's going to be.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be June 11th.
June
yeah.
11th. Well, I will forget.
Oh, no, we'll be in contact.
And that's it. I had a wonderful time too. And I'll definitely talk about the book more because I'll be more into it by then when I come to promote the fashion show.
And don't forget, everybody out there, we have Belladama Cigars. Just go to BelladamaCigars.com, put in the Suffering 10 for a special 10% discount. Hit the Grand Saloon. Thank you, Toyota of Hackensack, and thank you, Caffeine and Water. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of a Reality Star with Kim D. And let's think about all the stuff that we learned today. The busy bee has no time for sorrow. Be a different person. Protect your anonymity, but most importantly, be strong, be humble, be compassionate.
Very much so.
That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for joining us.
Our very first
On video. Yeah, you were.
I know you. I'm so excited about that. I'm like,
find Kim at Kim D Posh. Find Mike at Mike_Failace. Find me at Real Kevin Donaldson. Of course, follow the Suffering Podcast. Find us on Spotify, Apple, Google. We'll still be on all those platforms, but now YouTube. Hit the bell, like, subscribe. Thank you all. Have a good day.